So, when you hear the name the Buddha, what comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's this revered, almost mythical figure. But before all of that, he was just a man asking a question that honestly all of us ask at some point. This is his story, the story of the man who woke up.
And really, everything we're about to talk about, it all kicks off right here, with this one huge, universal question. It gets to the heart of what it means to be human, doesn't it? It's this massive puzzle that one man just couldn't let go of.
Okay, and here's the twist, the real irony at the center of this whole story. The guy who's going to spend his entire life trying to figure out suffering, well, he starts his life having never seen it, not once. He was a prince, living in what was basically a custom-built paradise, a bubble where nothing bad ever happened.
The lengths his father went to, it's just incredible. So, he was born Siddhartha Gautama, a prince of the Shakya people. And his dad, the king, heard this prophecy that his son would grow up to be either a great king or a great spiritual leader. The king wanted a king, obviously. So to make sure that happened, he built this, gilded cage around his son. He made sure Siddhartha never saw anything that could make him think about the deeper, tougher parts of life. In fact, Siddhartha himself is quoted as saying he lived a very spoiled life. And he wasn't kidding.
But you know how it is. You can't keep reality out forever, no matter how high you build the walls. Eventually, Siddhartha got curious. He started wondering what was really going on outside his perfect little world. And, well, what he was about to find would absolutely shatter everything he thought he knew.
So, on his first trip out, he sees an old man. Frail, bent over. Now, for you and me, that's just life. But for Siddhartha, it was a bombshell. He had literally never seen old age before. He had to ask his charioteer, "What is that?" And the guy had to explain, "That's what happens to everyone, Prince." Boom. That was the first crack in the facade.
Then, on the next trip, he sees a sick man, someone suffering from a disease. And again, total shock. It was a completely foreign idea to him that a body could just get sick and fail, that perfect health wasn't a guarantee. You can just imagine the walls of that perfect world starting to crumble fast.
And then, the knockout blow. A corpse. He's face to face with the raw, undeniable reality of death, the thing that comes for every single one of us, no exceptions. At that point, the illusion wasn't just cracked, it was completely shattered. But then, he saw something else, the fourth sight. And this one changed the game. In the middle of all this new, terrifying suffering, he sees a holy man, a wandering ascetic who had given up everything, and yet he looked totally at peace. And in that moment, Siddhartha saw it. There was another way to live.
So his whole focus shifted. The question wasn't just, why is there suffering anymore? It became, okay, if there's all this pain, how in the world can anyone be free from it? He'd seen proof that peace was possible, and he became obsessed with finding out how.
And to find that answer, wow, he did something most of us can't even imagine. At 29 years old, he made what's called the Great Renunciation. He walked away from it all, the palace, the riches, his wife, even his newborn son. He left everything to become a homeless seeker, totally dedicated to this one question. And his search was intense. He didn't mess around. First, he found the most famous meditation gurus around and learned everything they could teach him. He totally mastered it. Then, he went to the other extreme. He joined a group of ascetics and basically tortured his own body, pushing it to the brink, almost starving to death. But here's the thing. Neither path worked. Neither deep meditation nor extreme pain gave him the final answer. And this is where he had this huge breakthrough. He realized he tried both extremes, right? The life of total pleasure in the palace, that was just a distraction. But the life of total self-denial, that just weakened him and didn't lead to any real wisdom either. Both were dead ends. So what did he do? He discovered a third option, a path right down the middle. He called it the middle way. It's not about stuffing yourself with pleasure, and it's not about starving yourself either. It's about balance, a mindful, moderate approach to life that he realized was the actual path to freedom. This is it, the climax of the whole story. He sits down under this tree. It's in a place we now call Bodh Gaya, and he makes a vow. He's not getting up until he figures this out. He puts his mind to this new middle way, and after this incredible inner struggle, he gets it. He has the breakthrough. He woke up. And that right there is how he got his famous title. A lot of people think Buddha was his name, but it wasn't. His name was Siddhartha. Buddha is a title that literally means the awakened one. It's like he woke up from this dream of confusion that we all live in and finally saw things as they really are.
And we should be clear, this awakening wasn't some fuzzy, mystical vision. It was a crystal clear, practical insight that directly answered that first question he started with. Why do we suffer? He saw the root cause, and more importantly, he saw the exact steps to end it.
He boiled this whole discovery down into something called the Four Noble Truths. And the best way to think about it is like a visit to the doctor. First, the diagnosis. There is an illness, and it's called suffering, or dukkha. It's this general feeling that life is just not quite right. Second, the doctor tells you the cause. It comes from our constant wanting, our craving and attachment to things. Third, the prognosis. There's good news. There is a cure. Suffering can stop. And fourth, the prescription. Here's exactly what you need to do to get better. It's called the Noble Eightfold Path.
You know, at first, he actually thought about not teaching this to anyone. He was worried it was too deep and people just wouldn't get it. But he changed his mind and decided to share what he'd found. And who did he go to first? The 5 guys who had been his friends and then ditched him when he gave up asceticism. He gave his first sermon to them in a deer park, and they were totally convinced. And that was the beginning of the Sangha, the very first community of his followers.
And for the next 45 years, man, he just taught. And his ideas were seriously revolutionary for the time. He totally flipped the script on karma, saying it wasn't about what you do, but the intention behind what you do. He talked about samsara, this endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. He dropped this mind-bending idea called anatta, or no self, the idea that there's no permanent you inside. And he took a huge shot at the social structure of his day, the caste system, saying, look, it doesn't matter who your parents were. What matters is how you act.
So if you look at his life, it's this amazing arc. He's born into luxury, throws it all away at 29, has this massive breakthrough at 35, and then spends the rest of his life, another 45 years, just walking and teaching, before passing away at the ripe old age of 80.
In his last words to his followers, they're so powerful. He didn't offer some kind of easy comfort or promise of heaven. Instead, he gave them a final piece of homework. He said, basically, hey, everything falls apart. Everything that is put together will eventually come apart. Knowing that everything is impermanent, he told them, it's up to you. Work out your own liberation. Be diligent. What a way to go out.
So, that leads us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? We live in a world that is screaming at us 24/7 to get more, achieve more, be more. So what can we take away from this guy who taught that real, lasting happiness doesn't come from getting more stuff, but from simply understanding what's already right in front of us?